In one of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurants, a sudden silence fell so heavy it seemed to have weight. Conversations halted, forks froze midair, and all eyes turned toward a small boy struggling to stand. 10-year-old Lucas Montgomery, his frail legs braced in metal, was trembling as he reached out his hand to Diana Johnson, the restaurant's only black waitress. The piano had just started a gentle tune when Lucas, moved by impulse, asked her to dance. The manager's sharp voice shattered the hush, scolding the boy's father, Richard Montgomery, a billionaire investor, for allowing such behavior. Mortified, Richard ordered his son to sit, but Diana, calm and resolute, removed her apron and softly said, "I can't dance in uniform," before taking Lucas's hand. To everyone's astonishment, the boy led her in hesitant, uneven steps. She matched his rhythm, not correcting him but following his pace. Watching, Richard was struck by a memory of his late wife dancing with Lucas before the accident that had left him partially paralyzed. "It's not about perfection," she had once said. "It's about connection." When the brief dance ended, Diana thanked Lucas with quiet grace. Richard stopped her as she turned away, asked for her full name, and handed her his card. "My office. Tomorrow at 10. The next morning, nervous but determined, Diana entered the gleaming lobby of Montgomery Tower. She felt out of place in her best bargain outfit as the receptionist eyed her with cool detachment. After a long wait, she was ushered into Richard's vast office overlooking the city. He questioned her background and was surprised to learn she held a degree in child development and had co-founded a community program called Freedom Steps, a dance initiative for children with disabilities, now struggling for funds. When he offered her a lucrative position as a companion for his son, Diana refused. "I don't work for people who try to buy care," she said. "Your son doesn't need another expert. He needs the freedom to lead his own life." Before leaving, she handed him a flyer. Freedom Steps, Tuesdays and Thursdays. First class is free. Days later, Richard arrived at the modest community center with Lucas. Inside, children of all abilities moved freely to upbeat music. Richard called it chaotic. Diana smiled, saying, "It has structure. You just don't recognize it." Under her guidance, Lucas joined the group while Richard sat uncomfortably beside Diana's sister, Zoe. Then, to his surprise, Dr. Elaine Mercer, a neuroscientist whose proposals he'd previously dismissed, appeared. Diana explained that Freedom Steps was not just a dance class, it was a research-based rehabilitation method built on movement autonomy. Realization dawned on Richard. The waitress he'd underestimated was also the mind behind the program he'd rejected. Suddenly, the music stopped. Lucas, surrounded by other children, removed one brace and took an unsteady but independent step. The room erupted in cheers. Richard's composure broke, tears glinting in his eyes as Diana whispered, "It's not about perfect steps, it's about first ones." Confronted by reporters asking why he'd denied the program funding, Richard paused, then publicly admitted, "Because I was wrong." He announced full sponsorship for Freedom Steps and pledged to build a permanent rehabilitation center, on the condition that Diana maintain full control. Months later, construction was underway. Lucas's progress astonished everyone. He now walked with only one light brace. At the center's grand opening, surrounded by children dancing freely, Richard finally understood what Diana had meant about following rather than leading. When asked what he'd learned, he said, "True leaders are those who have the courage to follow when someone shows them a better way." Freedom Steps soon expanded nationwide, transforming countless lives. And for Richard Montgomery, the man who once measured worth in power and wealth, the greatest lesson came from a waitress and a little boy's first dance, that real strength begins when you stop trying to control every move and learn instead to let others lead.